They left me. I lost them. They changed. They won't let me change. They won't listen.
You've seen all kinds of relationships fall apart before, maybe even your own. But what if this one, Jinx and Ekko, doesn't just tell a story? What if it redefines what it means to truly invest in someone? In any relationship, romantic, platonic, even with yourself. When these two meet, it's like looking into a mirror. They are two sides of the same coin, but they didn't always recognize that. Jinx is messy, sassy, chaotic, but she's also pure creativity, the mad genius of the bunch. Ekko echoes, no pun intended, that same creative energy, but he has a hardened element. Yes, he's spontaneous, he's cool, he goes off the cuff, but at the same time, he's reined in that chaos a little bit. He calculates, he controls, he measures. There's a time and place for all this, but when it becomes your mission, what happens? What happens when the ego refuses to let go? What if the war you're facing outside is really just the war that's going on within you? Because the real dance between Ekko and Jinx is that there's a resistance to the movement, a slight reluctance to join the dance. Jinx behaves a lot like the subconscious. She openly invites the dance of life. No matter how awful the circumstances, how she gets tossed and turned around by her reality, no matter how hard the fall, she keeps going. She goes with the flow. Even though some of those events have caused such deep trauma that it's locked in how she views herself, given her a set identity, which I will talk about in a different video, she still continues to get up and not run away from the reality that life is constant movement. So yes, she's unpredictable, emotional, wounded, but that's the beauty of it. That she can act in the first place, that she feels so deeply she can create something from the chaos. She isn't just traumatized, she's expressive and uninhibited. Powder's wonder lives inside her. It's constantly evolving and adding layers to who she is. Ekko, on the other hand, behaves a lot like the ego. If Jinx is the creator, Ekko is the fix-it Felix. He's constantly trying to repair what he perceives to be broken or untamed. At first glance, we don't think of Ekko as controlled, rigid, or rational, but he wants to fix things. He doesn't like the state of the world he's in. That's not a problem. But let's look at the first scene he's introduced in. What is he doing? He's timing. Nothing can go wrong if he just sticks to and these seconds that he has to destroy the cargo on the ship. So living life by those measures, he's a very responsible man. He wants to protect those he loves. He wants to create a community, safe and secure. That's exactly what the ego wants to do in our brains. It wants to create a stable environment. It wants to fix things. But in doing so, we also cement the past. We plan too hard for the future, and we forget to actually feel the present. So even though he's almost always living in the moment, he's not really being in the moment. In healing, he's hardened. He mourned Powder so deeply that he buried her. He turned her memory into a mission. But in doing so, he paralyzed her in time. And that's where most relationships fail. Because you see, the ego tries to categorize things. It makes life easier that way. If we can see something and understand it, then we can act a certain way around it. Ekko saw that Powder joined Silco, and his brain couldn't do anything more than say, Powder died. She's Jinx now. She's evil. If I am in a confrontation with her, I must end it. So that fight scene in episode 7 of season 1, we are seeing them put into a situation where the past, the present, the future, even that hanging in the balance, it's all coming into one moment. This is where their dance begins. First, they play by the rules of the past. This is just like when they were kids. It's the same game, just with real stakes. And for a few seconds, they're lost in the joy of it. Because if you think about it, we don't stop in moments of fun. We don't stop and say, this is joy. No. We just are in it. We allow ourselves to get lost in the pleasure of it. And that's exactly what happens with them. Yes, the situation is actually horrible, but the way that the scene plays out so beautifully, they are genuinely enjoying being in each other's presence again. That is beautiful. But what happens? Jinx breaks the rhythm because she shows Ekko something that he thought he had already categorized. She shows him change, something he wasn't expecting, and that causes him to falter. It causes the pain to come rushing back in. Now, when we feel pain, that is a moment that causes the body and the brain to stop. And we're like, hold up, what's this? We don't want to feel this. Let's run away from it. Ekko pauses, and in that pause, Jinx tries to kill them both, ends it all. Because she is not the type to wait. She's very impulsive. And that kind of formulates most of her relationships. Her impulses are not something that most people understand. I'm not saying that she shouldn't take the time to heal from her traumas. However, if you take a look at the people around her in her life, Vi, Milo, Vander, Silco, everyone has opinions on who she should be and how she should act. Particularly Vi and Silco, they are constantly chatting away at her. Even when they're not present, they're in here. They fail to understand the idea that Jinx is flow. They want to contain her. Vi wants to contain her as Powder, and Silco wants to contain her as Jinx. But neither of those things are true. Both of those things are true. Everything and nothing is true. She is what she is at every given moment, and that's subject to change, and that's okay. That's why the alternate reality of the time bomb in season 2, episode 7 is so critical to look at. I watched a video by Shni talking about how the alternate reality is a way to investigate the present because it is the present. All realities are the same. If you threw a dice in the air, all 6 possibilities would still branch off into their separate worlds. Of course, we only see the end result, but that's the past already. That's not even the present. In every given moment, the present is dying again and again and again, and we are experiencing a new moment. So an alternate reality is a perfect place to explore a change in rhythm. The tempo is the same: survive, adapt, evolve. At least it is for Ekko, because when he enters this reality, he's confronted by things that his brain couldn't even have comprehended 10 seconds ago. And for the first time, he comes to a conclusion. Change is also beautiful, that there is beauty in the chaos. How does he discover this? Powder is the stuck one. She is the ego. She had this event happen in her past, and it has stopped her entirely because she can't see a present without Vi. She's living it, but she's living a very dull life. She's not really living her life for herself. She's filling everyone's cup except her own. Ekko sees this, and he sees something fundamentally wrong with that because he's a natural fixer. He sees things wrong, and he's like, let me show you a different perspective. And in doing so, he learns to stop resisting that idea himself by showing Powder this possibility of who Vi could be, that there are endless ways that things could have gone down, and that her sister is very much there. Ekko starts to see the beauty of Powder in the Jinx that he knows. So now they're working together. He brings out the creative side of her in a productive manner rather than a destructive one. He's like, oh wow, you know what? This version of her totally exists in the one that I know. This is the exact same girl, and I'm in love with her. I accept her as she is. She is beautiful and chaotic. She is down, she is up, she is life, she is source. The dance scene. Control was keeping them apart. But surrendering to the moment, that's what brings them together, okay? Heimerdinger knew what he was saying when he said, even though the ego wants to fix the chaos, sometimes the chaos in our lives is what frees us. It's not right versus wrong, it's necessary duality. So therein lies the problem. That's where most relationships fail. People are cementing the idea of their partner, of their mother, of their brother, of their friend, of their mentor, of their teacher, of their coach, and they are refusing to see them for who they are in any given moment. They are trying to constantly lead the dance. In salsa, yes, I know how to dance salsa, there's this idea of, especially for the women, we have to let go of the lead. Yes, the woman is technically the beauty of the show, but she actually is not supposed to control the dance at all. She's supposed to let the man control her. You could interpret that in a machismo way, but here's how I'm gonna choose to interpret that. Sometimes the ego, the most courageous thing it can do to truly let an individual or a relationship thrive is let go of the lead. Let go of the lead. Stop trying to mold something into what you want it to be or into what you think it is. No. Those expectations, those judgments, they're not getting you anywhere in any relationship in your life. Instead, what we have to do is break down the ego. Let it embrace the chaos of the subconscious. Let the subconscious cook. Let the subconscious connect with the ego. Let it become one thing. Because both are two sides of the same coin. So, after the time bomb, what's the first thing that Ekko does? He talks Jinx out of committing. And what's the first thing that he says to her? This is the most crucial line, I think, that Ekko has ever said. Always a dance with you. These are the only words Ekko could have possibly said to actually make Jinx stop and listen. Prior to this, Jinx had an interaction with Vi, where Vi said, imagine if you use your destructive abilities for good, therefore rewriting your story. Do you see the problem with Vi's wording? Rewriting a story implies that there's something wrong with it. And when you're asking someone, whether it be someone that you have a relationship with or yourself, when you're asking them to undo the past or write the past, that's a tall order. We are beings that are constantly moving forward. We can't do anything about the past. The past isn't who we are. It's memory, and memory tricks us. So what does Ekko say? He doesn't say any of that. He doesn't appeal to the past. Forget about it. It doesn't exist. What exists is this dance that I'm having with you. And I want you to imagine, I'm going to put it into the context of romance because it's Jinx and Ekko for now, that you went to a ball. And in your mind, you have a significant other that's also in the ball. There's no guarantee when you're going to dance together, when you will be paired up. And maybe when you're paired up, that's not going to last forever. You never know what the next move is. But you do know that at the end of the night, everyone will have had fun and is going to go on their merry way. So what are you going to do during the dance when perhaps things are not going the way that you would like them to go? Are you going to quit? Are you going to interrupt? That wasn't allowed back then. No. You're gonna have a frown on your face? Absolutely not. You're gonna let yourself enjoy the moment, because that is what life is truly about. It's not about anything else other than the constant present moment happening over and over and over again. That's why Ekko gets it right, and that's where most of us get it wrong. Acknowledging and choosing to dance is not a dismissal, it's a realization. It's his bid for connection in that moment, and it works because these two, they're not actually broken souls. They're rhythm itself. That's why they can create together. They have this synergy and synchronicity that nobody else can match. Because of him acknowledging the dance, Jinx actually does build something new. She is essentially doing what Vi said, rewriting her past or whatever, undoing her wrongs. But it's because she's no longer acknowledging those things holding her back. She has chosen to dance with a partner that fully accepts her as she is. Chaos, sassiness, messiness, creativity, all of it. That's what people talk about in healthy relationships, about building each other up. There are actually no step-by-step guides because for every single relationship, it's going to look different. It's about knowing that you are accepting each other in every given moment. That is unconditional love. Try it sometime, because I've been Jinx before. I've hated on myself and thought that I had to walk away from life because of how I perceived myself negatively in other people's lives. And I've been Ekko too. I've asked other people to change. I've tried to fix what I thought was broken, and it never turned out the way I wanted. Because the truth is, I never disliked those people. Those were things that I was hurt by inside. I used to focus on all the ways things weren't perfect, a lot like Ekko, and it made me stop looking at what was in front of me and appreciating it to the fullest extent. That place where you think that you ought to be, how you think things should be, that's not what it's about. It's about the steps in between, the choreography. You see, human souls know that peace doesn't come from stillness, it comes from motion. That's why rivers flow. That's life right there. That's why leaves fall, change colors. We love that. Why do we love it? Because that is the essence of everything. What if we learned to love that in our relationships too? Jinx, Ekko, you, me, we're not one or the other. We just are. We're the steps in between. People will come in and out of our lives. They'll dance with us, move with us, and we may not know what happens next, but we can enjoy the movement, and we can look forward to whatever it is that we're going to find at the end of the night. What or who are you resisting that you're actually meant to be dancing with?